everybody, it's Juliet here. Today we're going to be making a flat spiral bracelet, but not as we know it. So many of you probably know a simple flat spiral. You can use any size of core bead. So for example, here is one that just has 4mm Czech rounds and 11/0 seed beads, right? And this is what the other side looks like. So you can make really pretty effective bracelets, and it's a very simple beginner stitch, which is what I like about it. But it doesn't have to be boring. It can actually look like a really complicated bracelet, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, I am going to be using beads out of the Potomac Beads treasure box for October. However, you do not have to have the box in order to make this. You do not even have to have the exact same beads as I have. Okay, so I'm just going to run through what I'm using really quickly. I am using some 8mm Czech rounds, faceted rounds, and then I'm using these Czech faceted, wait, that's the wrong thing. They're called prop beads. They kind of look like cathedral beads, but they're a little different at the top. I think cathedral beads are fatter. These are also 8mm in length. So if you don't have these, you could use 2 colors of 8mm, or you could use a 6mm and then add like a 15/0 at each end, just to give a little variety, you know, in sizes. It's really very customizable, okay? So, you know, 6mm plus 2 15/0s, or, you know, an 8mm, another 8mm, whatever you want to use, okay? Then I have some 11/0s, and these are the Azuki seed beads, which are a brand of bead that Potomac Beads carry, and I had never tried them before. They're not as regular as your Miyuki are, but for this sort of thing, absolutely fine. In fact, for probably a lot of beadwork, absolutely fine. They're just not as regular, but I have noticed they have been, I'm not sure if it's them or some other bead. I'm getting a little bit of color coming off on my thread, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's those. I think it might be. They kind of look like they've been dyed. So just be warned about that. These are the opaque navy. But I mean, they're perfectly good beads. I'm not putting them down. You could definitely use them probably in most places where you would use 11/0s, you know, rounds. You could probably use them. Okay, and then here we have some StormDuos, and these are the Jet, oh my goodness, I've lost the label, hang on. These are Jet Red Luster metallic, but they're actually green. So Allie explained this on her live this morning, that when you put the red luster onto a jet bead, it looks green. Don't ask me why, it just does. Anyway, so I've got some StormDuos here, and then I have some 15/0s. I decided, these are out of my stash, I just decided to add some gold 15/0s. They're Miyuki 15-1052, just to give a little pop, because otherwise it was kind of monotonous looking. And then I have some 4mm Czech faceted rounds as well in this pretty kind of smoky blue color, which matches these beads perfectly. And then I have these little 2mm crystals, crystal bicones, and they are Topaz. Okay, if you don't have certain beads, you can kind of play around in the pattern a little bit, and I'll explain that in a second as well, just to adjust to whatever beads you're using. Okay, so I am going to leave quite a long tail, and I am using this blue dragon thread in size 6 that came in our box. You can use Fireline or any other kind of thread that you like to use. Okay, And I forgot to mention, you will need some kind of clasp. I just got this out for now. Whether I'm going to use this, I don't know. Again, this was a little kit from Potomac, a little set that came in one of our boxes. So it's just a lobster claw and a jump ring. And but we'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, we want to leave a good long tail here, okay? I would leave probably 8 inches. And then you're going to want to put on a stop bead. So I'm going to put on one of my 11/0s as a stop bead. So just push it down to where you have your 8 inches and then sew through it again in order to form a ring, okay? And then that is your stop bead, and you can easily pull that off at the end. Okay, once you have your stop bead on, you're going to pick up 2 core beads. And so I am picking up my prop bead and then my 8mm faceted round. And I'm just going to push those down to where my stop bead is, okay? And now we're going to work on building our 2 sides, which are the spiral. So I'm going to pick up 6 of my 11/0s. And this is where, if you're using different beads, you can kind of measure, and if 6 is too many or 6 is too few or whatever, you can adjust the numbers. But I'm using 6 11/0s, okay? So I'm going to push that down. The next thing I'm going to do, so one thing you do need to remember about this, and my needle is just stuck in my thread, hang on. Okay. So one thing you'll need to remember about this is that the first half of your line is not going to be seen. So you don't need to put your fancy beads up here because this is the only bit that's going to be seen down here, okay? So I just picked up 6 of these beads. I'm going to pick up 1 of my 4mm beads, and then I'm going to add a StormDuo. So StormDuos, as you can see, they have a curve here and a curve here, and then a cup here and a cup here, right? And there are 2 holes. See, so what you want to do is you want to enter into one of the sides of the hole that is on the curving out side. So not the cupping inside. You want to enter in. So I could either enter into this side of this hole here, if I turn the bead around. Okay, it doesn't matter. You're just going to go into the cupping out side of your StormDuo, okay? And this is where you can kind of measure and say, is this going to fit? So what's going to happen here is my StormDuo is going to sit like this, and I'm going to go back up into these 2 beads. So that's about right. You don't want it to be super tight. You want a little bit of space here because the next bead is going to sit here. So you need to leave a little bit of space here for these beads when you're figuring out how many beads you need, okay? Now, I don't like thread to be showing, and I like a little variety, so I decided I'm going to add some gold onto this line here. So I'm going to pick up 4 of my 15/0s. Okay, so that's 4. And push that down. And I'm going to go into the second hole of the StormDuo. Okay, so I'm just going into the other hole. So I came out, let me zoom you in a little. I came out from this side with I added my 4, and now I'm going back in to the other side. So again, I'm going into the other cupped side, the other like bump side, not the cup side. Okay, push it all down. Okay, and now I'm just going to I'm not going into my stop bead. I'm just going straight back up through the 2 core beads in the middle. Okay, so just make sure your stop bead is not included in that because we're going to be taking that off, remember? Okay, and then pull it, and I have this, okay? So I'm going to repeat the exact same pattern on the other side. So I'm picking up 6 of my 11 O's. So my 6 11 O's. I'm picking up my 4 millimeter round, and then again I'm going to pick up a StormDuo, and I'm going into making sure I'm going into the bumped out side. Okay, that's the only thing you have to remember, is just go into the bumped out side, and then I'm picking up my 4 15 O's. Okay, and I'm going into the other bumped side of the Super Duo, so I'm just going back the other way. And push all that down, and then I'm going to go straight up those 2 middle beads one more time. Okay. Oops. Got wrapped around myself here. Okay. So do you see how we've now got a line on one side and a line on the other side? Okay, so now we're going to build upwards. So I'm going to add on another core bead, and I'm alternating between the two. Okay, so this time I'm going to do something different, and this is what makes it look interesting. So I am here, I'm going to pick up 7 of my seed beads. Remember last time I picked up 6. This time I am picking up 7. Okay, so I've got 2, 4, 6, 7 of my seed beads. And then I'm going to pick up a gold or a topaz 2 millimeter bicone. Okay, then again I'm going to pick up one of my StormDuos, and again I'm going into the bump side. Okay, and this time, instead of adding the gold beads along the bottom, I'm going to add 3 of my 11O seed beads for variety, and I'm going to pop up into the next hole. Okay, so again, and the reason I added 7 this time is because this 2 millimeter bicone is much smaller than this 4 millimeter. So, you know, you can adjust accordingly. And then I'm going to make sure that I'm on top of my other lines that I've done below. So always make sure that you're on top, your current line is on top, and I'm going to go up through those 2 core beads again. Okay, so I have this, and now I'm going to repeat what I did on this side on the other side. So I'm picking up 7 seed beads, 7 11O seed beads, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, I'm picking up my 2 millimeter bicone. I am picking up a StormDuo through the humped side. I am picking up 3 more 11Os, and I am going into the other hole of my StormDuo. And push it all down, and then I'm going to go up my 2 core beads until I pop out of the top. Okay, so this is what I have. And now I'm going to repeat the first pattern, which was 6. Sorry, no, I'm not. I'm going to add on my next core bead. You always have to build upwards. So make sure you add that bead first. It's easy to get excited. Okay, so I'm going to add my 6. So this one has 6 because it has the larger blue. And the way I remember is whatever's my bottom bead, I just remember that I have the blue with the blue, okay? And I always have a gold somewhere, so if I'm not using the gold for the bicone, then I'm using it for my my little bit at the StormDuo is how I'm remembering, okay? So now I'm adding my 4 15 O's on and going back through the other hole of the StormDuo. And again, I made sure I went into the hump side, okay? And then here, again, I'm gonna sew up the last 2 core beads, which are the blue bead and the green bead that I just added on. And again, I'm making sure that my line is sitting on top of the last line that I did. So each line needs to be sitting on top of the last one that you did on that side. And then I'm going to repeat this again. So it's 6, so it's 6 and then a 4 millimeter and then a StormDuo going through the hump and then 4 because these are smaller than the 11. So it's 3 when we're doing the 11s, but it's 4 for the 15s. And you could use 11s. You could use 2 different colors of 11s if that's what you wanted to do. I just like the different shapes and sizes. You know, I like to add as much visual variety into it as possible. So that's why I am using 15s instead of 11s, okay? And then I am going straight up the middle, and I'm making sure that that line is on top of the previous line, okay? And then I'm gonna add a blue core bead. And for my second, remember I used 7 of my 11 O's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then I'm using the 2 millimeter. And then I am going into my StormDuo. And here, instead of the 4 gold, I'm using 3 11 O's. I'm pushing it all down. I'm going into the second hole on the StormDuo. And I am going back up the middle to core beads. And then I am going to repeat this on the second side. So again, I would pick up 7, a gold, a StormDuo, and my 3 11 O's. And I'm going to just basically continue doing this until I get to the length that I want my bracelet to be. And then I will come back and I will attach on a clasp. So make sure as you're working that you're budging everything up. Make sure that each row is sitting on top of the previous row, okay? And just remember to add your core bead before you start your next layer, and you'll be absolutely fine. So I'm going to work on this for a little while. So whenever I'm at the green is when I do 7, a gold, a StormDuo, and I do 3 11 O's. And whenever there's a blue at the bottom, I do 6. I do the 4 millimeter faceted round. I do my StormDuo, and I do 4 15 O's. And I'm going to alternate this back and forth, back and forth. So I will work on this and I will come back when I have made a longer length. Okay, so I have been working for a little while and you can see this is what I have, and it looks really, really fancy on the front. You know, it really looks like a high-end bracelet, and it looks complicated, and it really isn't. Now you'll notice there when I was holding it that the top is popping up, and you may notice on yours that as well that the bottom falls down. And we are going to fix that in a minute once we get the full length. I just wanted to show you the back really quickly. So this is what the back looks like. So it's nice and smooth on your wrist, you know. But you may need to add some thread. So when you get to that point, I could probably do another unit, but just leave your thread hanging. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go up. You're going to go around, not the last branch that you did, but the branch before. So if you just finished on this branch, right, you're going to go up and around and then up, and then you're ready to continue on. Okay, so maybe you need to do that branch, or maybe you're starting your next bit. So you're going to continue on and just leave your tails. And then at the end, you can tie them off by circling around your 2 spiral sides, okay? Another option you have when you're doing this, which I'm not going to do because I think it's going to be too much, and I kind of, on these beads, I like this detail and I want to be able to see it. But I want to give you this option. Once you've done both sides, you can go down through here and you could add a little string of beads right here. So you could, for example, if you wanted to add a 15, an 11, and a 15, you could put a little accent right in there like that, okay? But again, like I said, I think it covers up too many of the beads for me right now. But if maybe you're doing a less exciting outside bit, you know, maybe your outside is a little bit more boring and you want to jazz it up, you can put that little bit right in there just to make it pretty. Or you can even alternate, you know, a little string of 3 11s and then, you know, some 15s, or, you know, so there are options here. So anyway, I'm not at the right length yet, so I'm going to keep working, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to stop this from popping up and that from popping down, and also how we're going to attach on our clasp. Okay, so I'm adding on my new thread right now. So I just left my old one hanging. I came with my new one and I sewed up here, and I've sewed down all these beads and around to here, and now I've met up with the end of this thread, and I can literally just tie a square knot, and that will hold everything in place, and then I can just sew up the center and carry on. And I'm just going to leave I like to leave all my tails hanging until the end. I just feel like that way I can see where they are, and I can make sure that I can actually do my sewing, and then I sew them all in at the end. So that's just going to hang here, this other thread of mine, and that thread down there is fine because it's tied in. I can just tie that in. So this feels nice and sturdy. I'm not going to be able to pull it out because I tied a knot. This is loose, which means this side is still loose, but that's okay. I will tie that in, you know, at the end. So I'm just going to carry on, and but it's coming out so nice, isn't it? I just love it. So pretty. These colors are just gorgeous. I really doubt that the camera is picking up just how pretty this is, but it's such a nice bracelet. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I am down to my last 2 StormDuos here, so I need to save them for my very last embellishment on the end here. And my bracelet isn't as long as I would normally make it for me. It's not even 6 inches at the moment. So what you could do is just add a couple extra beads at the end, you know, like, and then put your clasp on if you need it a bit bigger. But I'm just going to show you how to finish off this last area here. So obviously we don't have room for the full, you know, another whole thing here, but we want to cover up this bit because that's the beginning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up just one of my 11/0s, and this is the round where I need to add my this is the round where I would normally add my 4mm. So I'm just going to pick up one of my 11/0s, one 4mm, and then go straight into my StormDuo. And this is also the round where I would put gold on. So I'm going to pick up my 4 15/0s, go into my StormDuo. So basically it's just a very miniature version of what I was doing before I was picking up 6 on this round. And then I'm just going to go up that very top bead and make sure that my embellishment sits on the top here, okay? And then I have to do the same on the other side, so I'm just going to pick up my 1 11/0, my 1 4mm, my 1 StormDuo, my 4 15/0s, and push those down. Go through the StormDuo again. And then I'm just going to sew into just that very top bead again. Okay, and that will just sit there and finish that end of the bracelet off visually, so it looks the same, you know, the whole way down. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add some beads in between these two beads, but right now I'm coming out from this middle bead right here, so I need to circle around again through the beads that I just added. So I'm just going down. It doesn't matter which side you go down, you can go down either. Just circle all the way around. And this is what I was talking about. If you had wanted to add an embellishment at the bottom, once you've added your two sides, you would just circle around, and then you could add, you know, some beads across here if you wanted to, okay? So I'm just sewing underneath the string between these two beads, okay? Trying not to get looped on everything as I go. Oh, that was a reflection, okay. And then I can continue on here. And that way my thread will not show on the front. Okay. Okay, so I'm here at the top right now. So I'm just going to add a couple of these blue beads. I think 2 should be sufficient right here, or maybe even 1. I think I'll do 1 because I think that'll look better with 3. And I'm just going to, so obviously we have 2 layers of beads. So we have this layer with a lot, and then this is the second layer that we're working with at the moment. So I'm just going to add 1 bead on the second layer. And then I am going to circle around again. And then what I'm going to do to stop this from popping up like this is I'm going to attach it to the second layer. So I'm just coming out from my 4mm, so I'm just going to continue on down into my StormDuo and through my 4 15/0s And then to stop this from folding up like this, which it'll do on this end, I'm gonna sew straight down into that 2mm bicone on the next layer, and the StormDuo and the 3 beads. And then I'm gonna circle back around. I'm gonna go up through the 2mm, and then I'm gonna continue up through the 4 15-0s on this side, okay? And when I get to the middle section here again, at the StormDuo, I don't want my thread showing, so again I'm going to sew underneath the thread that joins those 2 core beads together. So just go under, and then you can pop into your StormDuo and continue on your way. So then I go up through my StormDuo. I'm going to go through that 2mm bicone. Okay, so I'm coming out from my bicone right now, and then I'm going to hop straight up into my beads on the top layer here. Okay, so you don't do this all the way down the bracelet, you only really do this here, and then we're going to have to do similar at the other end, and that just stops it from flipping up or flipping down. The rest of the bracelet is held down, like the layer above is holding it in place, the layer below is holding it in place. It's just the very ends, they tend to, as you can see here, they tend to fold. So I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to go up through my StormDuo. I'm going to go through my 4mm, and then I'm going to hop up into these 3, circle around, and that will help to join those areas together, which is why I needed a nice long end at this end, because I'm going to have to go all the way around this whole thing before I even start adding my clasp. Okay. Okay, so once you are back up to the top, and I'm coming out from my second seed bead, the one that we added is here. Okay, and all I'm going to do is just to add a wire protector, thread protector here. Okay, wire guardian, sorry. So I'm going to add a wire guardian, and then I'll be able to add my clasp, whatever clasp. I might switch to a longer clasp, but then, you know, once I've added wire guardians at both ends, I can put any kind of clasp that I want on, just using a jump ring. So I can change my clasp if I decide I don't want the lobster claw, I want something else. It makes it easier to change, and I know that it is, you know, has a finding on it. So all you have to do is sew up through one side of your wire guardian and sew down through the other side. Okay. And then I'm going to sew back towards where I came from, just through that middle seed bead. Okay, so I'm coming back through the middle seed bead. So I've just basically, I've sewn up, I've sewn down, I've sewn through. I'm going to sew up again. Okay, I'm going to sew down again. And make sure that the thread does sit in that little channel. Sometimes it misses like it has just now. So just make sure that you get that to slot into the little channel there. And then I'm going to continue on and circle around again. So I'm just going through that next bead. Okay, so what I would do now is circle around again. If you can, you might need to change needle, go up and down again, and then you can tie off that thread. On this end, so I'll do this end and then I'll come back and show you how to do the other end. Okay guys, I took a little shortcut here. So when I was going around to circle around, I just went through the StormDuo and then I sewed into the beads on the back row. I went up, I sewed over the hump and down the back, and then I'm coming back just up through the StormDuo here. So I just took a little shortcut to just add that last layer of reinforcement there. And that'll help to connect that front and back together, so it definitely will not be flipping up at all. And now all I have to do is to just tie off my thread on this end, and we will be all good. So I'm just coming out from one of my 15-0s. I'm going to just tie a knot here and continue around through some more. And I'm going to tie another knot right here. So I'm just sewing under the thread that is joining these beads onto the StormDuo, and then I sew up through the hole, and that just creates a slip knot, okay? And then I'm going to just bury the rest of my thread down my core. So go down a couple beads, and then I can just cut that off. Okay, so that end is finished. We're going to do very similar on the other end. So go ahead, you can take your stop bead off, just slide it off, okay, and get your needle threaded. Okay, so once you've got your needle threaded, we're gonna have to circle around so we can add some beads right here, just to have something, because right now we're not attached to anything except the very end here, okay? So just pick a side to go to. It doesn't matter which side you go up. So I'm gonna go up the side right here through my StormDuo. And then through my 4 little 15-0s here. And then I'm going to go up, and I'm going to go ahead while I'm circling around and connect the bottom layer to the top layer, like we did on the other side. So I'm coming out from my 4mm, and you can see there's the rest of my ones on that layer. I'm just going to hop straight up into these 3 11-0s that are on the next spiral above, okay? And go through those, through the StormDuo, through the 2mm crystal, and then I'm going to have to circle all the way through all of those 11-0s to get up to the top. So there should be 7 here. And it can be a little bit hard because you're kind of working underneath the piece here. It can be a little bit fussy, but just use your patience. And then I am going to go ahead and, well, I'm already on the bottom, so I can just, I'm going to turn this over so I can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to jump straight over into the other 7 on the other side, go all the way down through that 2 millimeter, and then through the, just gonna flip it back to the front now, and then I can go through the StormDuo, through those 3 seed beads that are attached to that StormDuo, okay? And then I'm gonna jump straight down into the 4 millimeter on the next row below, okay? So those are now attached. So this will help to keep your bracelet from flipping up at the ends, and it should stay all nice and straight for you, okay? Then I'm going to sew through my 4 little seed beads right here, okay? And I think what I'm gonna do, because I have 3 of the AOs at this end, I'm just going to add 3 in between right here, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to add my my wire guardian in the same way as I did there. But there's the back and the front. So just add your 3 and then pop straight over into the other side here, okay? All right, so unfortunately this bit is going to be a little bit boring. You're just going to have to, and I'm going to have to add another thread. You're just going to have to circle around, add your wire guardian, circle around. It's, unfortunately, it is a big circle this time. There's not really much to do to avoid that. So just, if you need to add more thread, add more thread. And then you're just going to attach your wire guardian the same way we did, so that you're going to come out one of the 11 O's, you're going to go up the wire guardian, down the other side, you're going to go through the middle, you're going to go up, down, continue around, and then come one more time around, okay? And then that way it will be attached. As I'm circling this time, I am actually going to add, I added 3 little seed beads right there so that the thread is not exposed on the back side, so that you can do that if you need to when you're circling back around, okay? Okay, I got my bracelet all finished. So this is the clasp. So what I'm probably going to do is just add, instead of just having a jump ring, I might add a little extension chain just so that it's a little bit longer, because I think it's not quite big enough for me. But I just think it looks so nice, this bracelet. So simple to make, and yet gives such good results. So I just wanted to show you guys, you know, you can be really creative with your flat spirals. So, I mean, you know, anything from, you know, a smaller bead to a larger core bead, you can make such a pretty bracelet. And just the colors in this are gorgeous. I mean, these beads, I'm not thrilled about them, but the color is very pretty for sure. I had probably 10 that were stuck together in pairs, 10 altogether, so 5 pairs that I had to throw away. You know, they were like glued together or, you know, stuck together, and they're not that, they're not terrible. They're pretty good, but I think I have such a big seed bead stash anyway. I don't want to add another brand into my my mix. But anyway, if you guys make this, and if you use different colors or whatever, please share it with us. I know everyone would love to see what you come up with, but such a pretty bracelet. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and if you're not in our Facebook group and you're on Facebook, come and join us. It's called Jules and Rose's Beading Buds, and the link to that is on the Jules and Rose page to get to the group. Okay, all right guys, I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.